Private law school tuition has gotten out of control, with students taking on over $200,000 in debt to attend a lot of private law schools. So I was really happy to see that Stanford Law School recently announced a new income share agreement, which is an alternative to traditional student loans. There was recently an article in Reuters titled "Stanford Law to Fund Student Loan Alternative Based on Grads' Future Earnings." The idea of the program here is that you are repaying 10% of your income after graduating, whether you end up going into big law or public interest or whatever else. The school is funding this with $1.7 million. The fund is titled the Flywheel Fund for Career Choice. So the idea here is that you are not taking out a loan. Instead, you're getting that tuition money up front for the school, and then in exchange, you're paying back, quote, a portion of your future earnings. So through this program at Stanford, you can get up to $170,000 towards your tuition, which will not cover every single penny, but will cover the vast majority of the tuition. Now, obviously, if you're looking to go into big law, this probably isn't a great program for you. Starting salaries at big law firms are now $225,000 per year at the top law firms, with another $15,000 or so in bonuses at the top couple dozen law firms. And then it can go up to over $500,000 by year 7 or year 8. So definitely you don't want to go this path of the income share agreement and pay 10% of that over several years, when instead you could simply take out the loans traditionally and pay them back rather easily with that big law salary. However, if you do want to go into law in the public interest, which is really who these income share agreements are for anyway, it's a really great deal because public interest salaries are typically around $57,000 a year, according to this article. And of course, these income share agreement programs are really meant to make it easier to go the public interest path. Now, let's say hypothetically, you start off practicing law in the public interest, maybe as a public defender, for example, where you might make $59,000 on average instead of $57,000. Not a huge difference there, of course. Let's say that then later you want to go into big law. This program from Stanford will not penalize you for making the switch the way that some of the other loan forgiveness programs do. So this, in my view, is a great option, and it's a great initiative to encourage more students to go practice the law in the public interest rather than going the big law corporate route. They don't want the low starting salaries in the public interest to be a barrier, especially when you're considering you're paying off that fancy Stanford law tuition, which is of course significant. The private tuitions at a lot of the top 14 law schools, we're looking at $60,000, $70,000 per year over the course of 3 years. And of course, you also have to consider your housing costs, living expenses, books, miscellaneous fees, and then of course the opportunity cost of not working during that period. Unless you are in some part-time night law school program, you are typically barred from working during law school because law school really is more than a full-time job, and they don't want your grades to suffer. But at the same time, of course, that could pose a significant financial burden on students. And so that's why, of course, you're taking out these loans, becomes difficult to pay them back. This income share program from Stanford is a great way to ease the burden, and I'm glad that they're experimenting or considering bringing this program to other top law schools as well, and I hope it expands throughout the top 14, and ideally, of course, to all law schools. The issue, of course, that it requires a lot of upfront funding. Someone has to pay the schools this tuition, and it's typically coming from private donors. $1.7 million is actually not that much money when you're considering tuitions privately of $60,000, $70,000 a year over the course of 3 years. There's a limit, actually quite a small limit in terms of how many students could be served by a program like this at Stanford, given that limited pool of funding of only $1.7 million. So I hope that other donors come forward to help expand the program beyond just Stanford and to maximize the number of students who can take on a program like this. Of course, there is another way to reduce the cost of your law school tuition, avoid taking on loans, avoid paying out from your future salary, and that is, of course, to get merit aid. If you can get an LSAT score above the medians of the law schools to which you're applying, they will often throw scholarship money at you in many cases even give you a full ride. You get that offer, of course, by getting an LSAT score above the median, a GPA above the median. Your GPA, of course, may be fixed by this point in time, but your LSAT score, you can improve significantly, and there's still plenty of time to do that whenever you're taking the LSAT. And of course, you still have a massive opportunity to significantly improve your LSAT score by putting in the work. If you can get an LSAT score significantly above the median of the schools to which you're applying, they will throw scholarship money at you to help improve their standing in the ever important US News rankings. The vast majority of law schools, nearly 200 ABA approved law schools, will give you significant merit aid if you can bring them an LSAT score and a GPA above the median. Now, of course, your GPA is likely relatively fixed at this point in time, but you can significantly improve your LSAT score and thereby improve your odds of getting into a top law school and getting significant scholarship money for that as well. How do you improve your LSAT score? Well, of course, it can come in a number of ways. You can, of course, study out of books, but books are oftentimes boring, and who wants to go through 1,000+ pages of LSAT material? Instead, you can use short bite-sized video courses. You can join live small group sessions via Zoom. At LSAT Unplugged, we offer those 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday. And we also, of course, offer private one-on-one coaching as well. I'm personally looking for a couple of students aiming to improve their LSAT scores significantly over the next 3 to 6 months to hit a 170 or above on your actual official LSAT test day. If this opportunity interests you, if you've been studying for a while but hitting a plateau and you don't know how to move forward, please check out the links below this video to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd love to help you out. And if you found this video helpful, please do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to see it. I don't do any advertising for this channel. I rely only on word of mouth to help get the word out, and your sharing this video really does make a difference. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.